David, what are we watching? Bryce, depends. How gay do you want to go for Pride Month? Well, Dashcam is new and hot. But if we gotta go gay, I would go power bottom. Okay. In that case, Stranger by the Lake. This episode was brought to you by paganism, the religion that lets you worship your dick. Paganism, the religion that worships your dick.
Is this a metal thing? Yes. Little taste.
David, what is this?
Pretty thick.
Great.
I have to kill a lot of people. Just tell me what you want me to fuck.
I have big tits and a tiny vagina.
Oil me up, Daddy.
I can't believe that Bryce prefers big tits. Mistletoe alert. This is backcountry.
This guy was a real jerk.
How long can Hugo be pregnant? Chomp, 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 chomp.
Oh, I'm just such a dick, David.
Okay, everybody, put on your corpse handling gloves.
Ew.
Hoodie Picasso. Horror.
Hello and welcome to Horror Movie Talk.
Is it horror movie talk? Is it really horror movie talk?
Yeah,
I feel like our descent from horror movie review show into hardcore gay porn review was so gradual that we didn't even notice ourselves.
Happy Pride Month, David. Yeah, I mean, this is definitely one of those where we're leaning heavily into...
To be fair, it's not hardcore, it's pretty softcore.
This is a thriller. So if you consider thrillers horror...
It thrilled me, let me tell you.
Yeah. It is a thriller.
Look, I know that we're... I mean, over the last 5 or 6 episodes, it's been getting gayer and gayer and gayer in here. We're been boning over dudes a lot over dicks and just asking for more and more dick in film and why isn't there dicks?
I mean,
I got my answer.
We're advocates for LGBTQ plus.
Yeah.
And this is going to be our episode that celebrates Pride Month.
Yeah. Boy, is it.
So, if you're new to Horror Movie Talk, this is exactly the type of episode that we normally do. My name is Bryce Hanson. I have a PhD in spagology, and across from me sits David Day, foremost expert in scare dicks. So we usually prefer covering theatrical new releases. We just did that one.
Crimes of the Future.
But we also review older horror movies, both good and horrible. So we got a great show today. We'll be reviewing Stranger by the Lake, which you probably haven't heard of.
It also goes by L'Inconnu du Lac.
Yeah. Yep. So just a couple plugs. Go to our website, horrormovietalk.com. There you'll find links to all the things. We post new episodes every Wednesday, so please subscribe. Leave us a review if you like us. And if you want to call and leave us a voicemail, call 682-253-4468. Each episode we start by giving a brief review and our score for the movie. We score on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being a miserable dredge where it makes you angry, 5 being an average film that hits all the expected marks, and 10 being so good it transcends genre boundaries. After we give our score, we'll have a demarcated section for spoilers. So if you don't want to hear anything get spoiled, you can hop out at that point, watch the movie, and come back.
Yeah, you can pop that condom on, slip on into this little ditty.
Yep.
And take a nice swim in the lake.
Later on, we'll be doing a couple bits. This is like the prime candidate for taglines. So we'll do taglines. And then we'll be checking our voicemail for a bit we call horror movie whores. So we watched Stranger by the Lake, and it was super gay, and I'm not... That is just a truthful statement.
Oh, yeah.
That's not a judgment.
No.
That's nothing but a factual statement.
This is the gayest movie I've ever seen.
Right.
By a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like...
It was an experience. Like, if you're like, oh, yeah, I like gay movies. I saw Moonlight. Brother, buckle up.
Oh, yeah, shut the fuck up. Get out of here with that Moonlight bullshit.
Oh, yeah. See, in contrast, if you watch this and you see Brokeback Mountain, you're like, okay, that was revolutionary.
Uh-huh.
Like, okay.
Yeah.
Show me some dicks coming and some extreme butt fucking.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
not too extreme. It was loving.
Extreme.
It was gentle butt fucking.
I mean, yeah. No, yeah. Compared to where it could go, I suppose.
I won't play the trailer since it's in French.
French. Okay.
Man, I have my supervisor at work is French. I should have asked her to be on this episode.
Oh, you're such a dick, David.
But I will tell you that you can find Stranger by the Lake streaming on Canopy. Canopy doesn't get enough love, in my opinion.
What is Canopy?
Canopy
is that the library one?
Yeah, it's a library. Like you can get like something like 20 free movies through your library card if your library supports it. But they've got like if you're looking for like art house, indie, or like classic films, they've got a lot of good stuff on there. Like a lot of like Criterion Collection stuff you can find on Canopy. And this is on there for free if you have a library card. So, at a French lake, Franck spends his summer days cruising for gay sex. Along the way, he befriends the pudgy, middle-aged, depressive Henry, who is ostensibly bisexual but has no interest in sex. But he does provide good conversation. Franck sees a gay French Tom Selleck type at the lake named Michel. Yeah,
it's like Michael.
Michel. And is instantly attracted to him. Michel seems to be involved with someone else, but when Franck spies Michel drowning his presumed boyfriend, Franck decides to shoot a shot. This is an understated erotic thriller that could be considered a black comedy. It explores themes of lust, relationships, commitment.
A black comedy?
Yeah.
How is this considered a black comedy? This was so deadly serious throughout.
Well, the entire concept. We'll get into it.
Okay.
So it explores the themes of lust, relationships, commitment, loyalty, and hot, steamy cock.
Oh, yeah.
This is on a list of gay horror films that I came across, and I hadn't heard of it, but the setup seemed intriguing.
Was that list like by degree, and this was like the hottest, most flaming?
It was down the list in terms of like,
this shit's fucking
it was probably
gay.
Closer to one, on this list of, top 15 or whatever. But notably, like, it had like really high scores on Rotten Tomatoes. So it was like, I always get intrigued with like, oh, if this is super well reviewed and something that I haven't heard of before. But yeah, the setup seemed intriguing. So a man witnesses a murder but decides doesn't matter, still got laid. It's an engaging thriller, but calling it a horror movie is pretty generous with the genre. The last 10 minutes or so could be considered horror, but the bulk of the film is mostly drama. By drama, I mean explicit, unsimulated gay sex. To say that there is gay sex in this movie is an understatement. It's basically softcore gay porn for a good 60% of the film.
True.
In past episodes, we have advocated for more full frontal male nudity and more sex in films. Well, be careful what you wish for, because this is...
I'm sorry, finish your thought.
This might be... I wouldn't say too much, but like you when you ask for it and you're just given it, it's like, oh, I feel kind of empty inside.
Yeah.
Maybe maybe this isn't what I wanted.
Yeah, the lack of it hitting was a weird. It was a weird emptiness. It was like, oh, there's a void in me. It can't be filled by this. I guess. Well, that's somehow it's informative about myself. I was like, wow, this is really, really fucking gay.
Right.
And I don't know, I looked down at little mister hanging out, and he was like, not doing it, nothing here, boss. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's an interesting thing to note about myself.
Right.
That I never knew before.
Good to know.
But also...
Well, technically now you will be gay, though.
Why?
Well, because of your transition.
Oh, no. Well, yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, lesbian. Yeah. I didn't think about it.
So I'll admit that most of my enjoyment came from knowing, like, as I was being shocked by what I was watching, the fact that I was forcing David to watch it also just gave me a lot of delight. I was giggling like a schoolgirl through a lot of this film.
Me too.
Just because it goes so hard. If I had known it went this hard, I probably wouldn't have suggested it. So do you want to know what the alternative would have been if he had said, like,
yeah,
midline, or
sure. Would it have just been softcore gay porn?
I was 90% decided on Jennifer's Body.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that's the one that everybody should. I'm glad you didn't do that one because, and don't get me wrong, it's a great movie,
right?
But it's a little bit of it's just like shooting fish in a barrel. Anybody talks about, gay representation in horror, and they're like, oh, Jennifer's Body, and it's like, okay, well, yes, but like that movie, I don't know, it just feels like too on the nose. Whereas this movie came out of left field and ran me over like a semi truck. Here's my. Can I read a little bit of my text stream to you as I was watching this movie?
Okay, yeah.
I said this movie is astonishing. So here's how a lot of my text conversations with Bryce go. It's just me talking at Bryce and him not responding at all. So just these are all my words. He won't ever respond because that's what it's like being in friendship with Bryce, in gay sex with Bryce. And I quote me, "This movie is astonishingly gay. Holy fuck." And then Bryce says, "I gave you a choice. You chose power bottom." I say, "This is shockingly gay. I didn't know you were going to make me watch actual gay porn. Like, I thought we were watching horror movies as we do. Now I'm just watching dudes coming into the camera. If you showed this to a gay dude, he would call you a fag."
And then in my defense, I responded in 5 minutes.
Okay.
All right.
Well, but yeah, my point does stand though. Am I not also correct?
Well, sometimes I'm working and I don't see it.
Look, you don't have to be defensive about it. It's just what it is. I've accepted it. Have you accepted it, or is this something you're working through?
Well, it seems like an accusation coming
it's
from
not
you.
an accusation. It's just the way you are. I mean,
it's situational. I respond to things.
No. I mean, yeah, sure you do. But also, you don't a lot. And that's fine. I don't expect you to. A lot of the stuff I send you is sent knowing that you're not going to respond.
Right.
Because I know that about you. And you know that about you too. This is a super gay argument to have right now.
Yeah. Daddy and Daddy are arguing again. But someone said in one of our
I know.
Afterpod comments, you guys sound like a bickering old couple. I was like, yeah, we do.
I know how.
It's a feature.
Okay.
Where were we?
I think you're at the last bit right before your.
So yeah, I will say I really like this film. I'm kind of a sucker for thrillers, like this kind of like murder tension building thing is pretty great for me. Like I said, it's really understated in that it says a lot with very few words. The script is very tight and the characters are intriguing. The acting is probably the best part of the movie. There's a lot communicated through glances and silences and a lot said with very little words and glances and, hot cock. So, all right, were you engaged by the film? Like, was it kind of one of those things where you didn't...
Not for necessarily the right reasons. I mean, it did have it was an interesting insight into a subculture that I know some about, but it did give me a perspective that was...
You're talking about the French.
Fresh and different on the gay culture.
Oh, okay.
But I imagine if you're gay, this is not necessarily very fulfilling in a number of ways. Like it's not quite gonna get you off. It's not like it's more informative to the non-gay person, in my opinion. In that, I mean, considering all the cool. Okay, so I'm gonna reference back to last week where we watched Crimes of the Future, which was a movie that had a fucking assload of cool concepts and weird, interesting thoughts and dilemmas that I had never seen posed in these ways before. And your dissatisfaction with the film was so intense, and you were like, it just could have been a short movie. It could have been a short. This could have been a short and it would have been just as good. And then we have this, which is like the most copy-paste, basic bitch-ass thriller that I can possibly imagine. That's only twist is there's dick going into butthole and Bryce is like, oh, this is the best thing I've ever seen in my life. And so now I'm like, well, this could have been 10 minutes long and been the same fucking movie. Because this is every single thriller about a murderer you've ever seen done with a gay twist. But not just the gayest twist you've ever seen. Like, this is like lots and lots of sucking cock and butt fucking and cum shots into the camera from hard erect penises coming into the camera. Like you put on
into the camera.
Put on your 3D glasses and you're like, whoa, I gotta sideswipe the jizz.
That's not accurate.
Like
there was a cum shot. It wasn't into the camera.
It was impressive.
I'm glad you're impressed.
So to me, I'm like, okay, like this did not, if you want to talk about cool concepts and like, I don't know, like this didn't have much of anything. It was really light on the tension. There was a lot of releases to that tension throughout that made me just be like, I gotta tell you, it's barely a thriller. Like this is so, like this is, of the horror movies that we've reviewed, this is the lightest on the horror.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
ever. To the point where I'm like, are we just, like, is this just a cult of personality now?
Hey, man, it was on a list of gay horror movies.
Don't hide behind your lists.
I trusted in the list. It's a thriller. I'll contest your assertion that it's barely a thriller. It is a thriller.
Yeah, it's a thriller. It's super fucking basic and it does nothing new.
I don't agree. I don't agree with that statement.
Oh, there's a lot of groundbreaking shit and concepts and thoughts in this movie.
I mean, not groundbreaking, but it's very unique. I wouldn't say this is a cookie cutter thriller.
It's okay.
Or even a cookie cutter erotic thriller. Like it's pretty unique in its approach and its setup and like the dynamics between the characters.
That uniqueness that you're speaking of is the fact that it's gay.
Well, that's one way of putting it, but I mean, it's more than that. We'll get into it in the spoilers.
Okay, what do you give this?
I liked it. I'd even recommend it to people.
Yeah, you would. And you will. You're on a horror movie review show, and here we go.
Yeah.
Here's Bryce's recommendation.
Yeah, I'd say I'd give it a 7 out of 10.
Bold. That's a bold. Actually, that's light. That's a light enough score that I don't disagree with it. It's a good movie. It's really well acted. It's really well cast.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's a vibe. It's a big, long, kind of melancholy, horny vibe. Like, this movie is just like a lot of like male horniness. And by the way, I kind of get it now. Like, like the reason you don't see a bunch of dicks in movies, it's not great. It's just not a great look, especially when it's just dick after dick after dick after dick. And the character is kind of overshadowed by the dick in a weird, not great way. When I see a now, and this
when you see a dick, you just go into a fever dream state where you just can't notice anything else.
It's just the dick is its own sort of actor, right? It needs its own line on the credits because it commands attention. It commands attention, and not to say that pussy doesn't.
Right.
It's just a different level of energy, you know. Obviously, very different energy coming off of penis versus vagina.
I don't know. I mean, that's a real good question. Is like, because I'd say if there's tits on screen, I feel like it would demand as much attention as a dick.
Yeah, it's just like I said. It's just a very different energy, you know. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, it's a fine movie. I don't know that I would watch it again. I would not watch it again. And I would recommend it to a select group of people. And I wouldn't, and that's not necessarily gay people. In fact, I specifically wouldn't necessarily recommend it to gay people because I do feel it would be unfulfilling in a lot of ways. It's like a lot of it's like women going to watch Men. You know, the movie Men. It's like they can just go outside and feel uncomfortable by the male gaze all the time. They don't need to sit through a movie that recreates that experience. The gay thing, same kind of thing. I imagine. This is just my imagination. So, you know, take this with a grain of salt. But I think that people who are who want to step into the shoes of a gay man, this is the way to do that. Big time. This is that. It's a very specific set of quandaries and problems and horninesses. I give this probably a 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. So not far off.
Okay. If you're listening to commercials at any point, you should know that you don't have to on this podcast. If you go to our Patreon at patreon.com/horrormovietalk, at a certain tier, I believe it's the $6.66 tier, you get access to ad-free episodes as soon as we finish editing them. So check us out there. There's lots of other tiers with different perks and bonus content. Also check out our shop at horrormovietalk.com/shop. There you'll find lots of merch featuring images from our resident artist, Dustin Goebel, who's a professional artist who fucks hard. He also takes commissions for artwork from HNT fans, so contact him on Instagram at dgoebel00, at DGOEBEL00, and make your artistic dreams come true. If you were to compare Dustin's fucking to the fucking in this movie, which is harder?
Oh, wow. You've actually got me a bit speechless.
Yeah.
I don't know, probably why not both?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You can have equal levels of fucking.
So
Even the pedals make it move more.
if you call 682-253-4468, you can leave us a voicemail. Thanks for listening. Let's get into spoilers.
Thanks.
So, yeah.
For those of you who don't know, that's the Grindr notification.
So, yeah, I mean, I'll say, like, I think I disagree to say that gay people wouldn't get anything out of this. I think it's pretty hot. Like, you... Well,
yeah, maybe. Look, that's all very presumptuous by me, but I just imagine that this tackles stuff that they've had to tackle so many times that they're like, okay, yeah, sure.
I would say, like, if there was a straight film with the equivalent amount of straight sex and, explicitness, which I'm not sure there is. Like,
yeah, I'm not either.
I would be totally into it.
I would not be into that. And that's how I'm gauging this. Is I'm like, if this were a straight film, like the reason this was a worthwhile and interesting movie to me was literally because of the dick in the ass of other dudes. Like the super gayness of it made it novel enough for me to watch it. But if this was just about a hot gal and a hot guy going at it, or two hot gals going at it, I'd just be like, okay, like, so there would be so much less interest behind it because it's, this is not a terrifically interesting movie. There's no punches pulled. It's just very, very straightforward.
Yeah, it's very straightforward.
It's not even a whodunit. You know who did it.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm a sucker for softcore sex. Like,
this makes a lot of sense.
I like leaving a little to the imagination, but yeah, unsimulated. There's very few films with unsimulated sex on screen, like theatrical films that aren't pure porn.
Yeah. What is that?
What's unsimulated?
No, like why? Like why is that? Like what?
Because it's pretty big ass for actors that are essentially strangers to actually fuck on screen.
I don't know. I mean, people do that every day anyway.
Actually, in this film, it wasn't them fucking. The main actors, they actually got body doubles for the explicit, like, blowjob scene and like the coming scene and stuff like that. Oh. If you look closely, you'll notice that it's a different cock.
They smack that stunt cock.
Hey, wait a minute! That guy's circumcised.
Yeah.
Where is the
remember?
Where's the continuity person?
Yeah.
Where's the script supervisor on this one? This guy's circumcised.
Remember Orgasmo?
I haven't seen it.
Stunt cock.
Yeah.
Bring in the stunt cock. Yeah. Yeah, this makes a lot of sense. You're ex-Mormon. You grew up like really, really repressed in terms of like. I mean, you've spoken on the show about how guilty the church made you feel for feeling horny.
So specifically masturbation.
Okay,
and porn.
So this lane of like, it's naughty, but it's not quite so naughty. Like it makes more sense now a little bit to me. Does that make any sense to you, or is that a total miss?
No, it makes sense. But also, like, I find my preferences with porn are a lot, like, hardcore stuff turns me off.
Wow.
Like, when it's just like, where it's just basically watching someone be abused.
Okay,
like,
well, wait. I think,
which is like 90% of porn.
Wait, I think you're getting your definitions mixed up. Hardcore and softcore, what do you think those mean?
Well, hardcore would be like basically close-ups of penetration and like really, I mean, like hardcore, like in that it's extreme in the I don't know.
No, so you hit on it. That's literally the definition.
Right.
Showing penetration.
Right.
No, it doesn't have anything to do with domination or hitting or abusiveness. It's not hardcore. Hardcore is the delimiter for penetration, and softcore, the delimiter is doesn't show penetration. And a lot of times, softcore doesn't even show anything other than chest up stuff. You don't really get dicks.
Yeah, I mean, even cum shots are.
Yeah,
you would be. I don't think you'd technically see cum shots in a softcore.
I don't think so.
It would just be a close up on a guy's face as he comes.
But I feel like you had a little bit of like hardcore means there's some abuse involved, and that is not what.
Well, abuse or, I don't know, feels more exploitational. I mean, come on, we've all seen porn. We know what's in it and how it's like. It's pretty geared towards people who are looking for something that's pretty slightly wrong, if not very wrong.
Okay, so well, there's a big difference between just vanilla sex that's hardcore, that's shot hardcore, and a dude stepping on a gal's face and then smacking her,
right?
With intent to harm,
right?
Both are hardcore, but only in that they show penetration. One is specifically abusive, and the other is just vanilla sex.
Right.
Both achieve quote unquote hardcore. I can't believe this is horror movie talk. What is happening to our show?
This is not that different from a regular episode, to be honest.
No, but now we're getting so specifically into
definitions of porn.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean it's definitely softcore erotica.
But not entirely. There is a cum shot. There is a lot of dick. A lot of dick. Of dick.
So you're turned off by all the dick, is what you're saying?
No, I'm not. I wasn't turned off. I just wasn't turned on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Difference.
It's an interesting ride in a movie like this as a straight person, because you'll learn things about yourself.
Yeah. I mean, you never really challenge yourself.
Right.
You're like,
well, I don't know. Some of us do. Yeah, I mean, I don't see like you know what it is? You know what's the most interesting take on like all the dick is imagining this must be what all the women feel about seeing tits on screen, where it's like,
is that necessary?
Where it's just
although, you know what? I don't think so.
It's just skin flaps, That's what, when I look at all the dick, it's like, yeah, it's just basically skin flaps just flapping in the wind. And
dicks look kind of like an afterthought to me. It's like there's the human body in all its magnificence, and it's all pretty impressive, both female and male, until you get to just the dick, and then it's like, it's like taking a piece of like raw clay and just like slapping it on, and being like, it's done.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the general consensus, but you sit with it long enough, and you're like, I feel like I appreciate dicks more.
Oh, I sit with mine constantly, and that's the whole point of me doing this transition, is it's just there all the time.
Right. So yeah, I mean, at a certain point, it makes it so commonplace where you're like viewing the world differently. You're like, wow, it's like the experience of being on a nude beach. Really, it's like, oh, this isn't. All of a sudden, all this energy that's put around this, it just becomes very normal.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, well, I don't know what this means. And it separates nudity from, like, actual lust and sex.
Yeah, but also it doesn't.
Okay, so let's run through what happens here. So Frank arrives, he swims, he spots Henry, sits down and talks with him for a little bit. We learn that Henry doesn't like swimming, he just kind of likes sitting and enjoying the view. They talk about a type of catfish that's supposedly in the lake. But it's just like good conversation, pretty platonic. And then Franks pretty soon spots Michelle in the distance and goes off and tries to find him in the woods. And pretty soon you see like what we're dealing with, because we basically
notes here.
We basically see Michelle eating ass. Like the first like medium shot that we see Michelle is him just eating ass. He like comes out for a breath.
Riley looks at
Frank,
the camera,
like, gives him a little smirk. He's like, goes back to eating ass. But the kind of the feature of this movie is it's a true one location film. Like, there's no indoor location. It's all outdoors, and it's the lake and the woods,
right, and the parking lot.
And the parking lot. Like for some reason they focus a lot on cars driving up to the parking lot, which is just color, I guess. But like, it's basically the men on the beach at the lake, doing some, just
cruising.
What do you call it?
Sunbathing.
Like obligatory swimming. Like, yes, I'm at the lake. I'll go swim. Okay, how about that gay cock though? So they go, and then they like wander into the woods, and these woods is like kind of this dreamy landscape of just gay dudes kind of just grazing in a field.
Hang on, I want to read your note here. I want to read it word for word. The fucking woods.
The fucking woods.
Guys aimlessly wandering around like cattle. This is so exactly what I didn't ever think I'd have to envision. Like, I never like considered what a gay cruising spot would be like. But then when I was like confronted with like, there are gay cruising spots. People go there to find strangers to fuck in a gay way. Then I was like, oh, this is exactly how that would be. Like my mind had to like do that. Like, okay, so a bunch of horny guys and they want to have sex with each other, and I'm there. And that's just exactly what it is, which is like just like tense energy from dudes who recognize that each other are a little dangerous. Like there's danger, there's and some of them are aggressive. They're like in good and bad ways. Some will be like walk up to you and just grab your dick, and you're like, "Hey, can you not, please?" And others will be like, "Hey, motherfucker, this is my boyfriend. You stay away from him. This is the cruising spot. There's a line around us, and this is not like there's just a bunch of what do you call it? That energy that's produced by that hormone that men have. What's that hormone? Testosterone energy.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, even if you're not gay, if you're a man, you get it. You're like, oh, this is what would happen if women had the same amount of like sexual desire as men do.
It would be a weird world, man.
Yeah.
Kids would grow up not innocent at all. Like,
oh, I don't know about that. I mean, I don't think gay guys are just having hardcore sex in front of their kids.
I'm saying if the whole world just had this constant sexual drive all the time, it would be a very different culture that we had.
Yeah, it's a really interesting juxtaposition to look at. Like, oops, sorry, I should have turned that off. I think I was getting the.
I had a massive problem with my house last night, so I have to leave my ringer on.
Okay. But it's an interesting juxtaposition to see how with the gay guys, I mean, this is obviously a spot known for cruising, but it's a foregone conclusion that everyone there wants to fuck.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just like a formality of figuring out who you're going to fuck or who's going to let you fuck them. Whereas if you go to like a straight equivalent, which was probably like a bar or something, or yeah, well, first of all, there's no straight equivalent. I don't think there's just a place you can go to hang around and be like, everyone's here to fuck. But if you were to go to the closest straight equivalent, like, it's offensive to think that it's a foregone conclusion that everyone wants to fuck each other. Like, that's dangerous territory for men to be like, oh, there's a woman here at the bar. She definitely wants to fuck. So, and women will get offended.
Yeah.
If you assume that, you know?
Yeah, it'd be.
Ew. David.
Sometimes
David,
I just
David,
want to
David.
dance.
I didn't go missing, David. The FBI knew where I was the entire time.
So, yeah, it's an interesting viewing. It's an interesting cultural thing, and I think notably, it doesn't say the exact year or time frame, but this feels like early '90s ish.
Okay, that seems arbitrary to me.
No one has cell phones, but they're talking about AIDS. Like, the cars are pretty old.
Are they talking about AIDS? The cars I have no frame of reference for because they're like Renaults. They're like French cars.
Right.
You know? So I'm like, I don't have any idea like what this is. But were they talking about AIDS? Oh, there was like a one line about it.
Right.
Like
he was asked about a condom. And I think, yeah, they mentioned AIDS. So it's,
yeah.
Not to say that AIDS isn't a concern now. I mean, I'm sure there's still gay guys that mention it. But it feels like it's a different time. It's not modern, because if it was, like, everyone would have cell phones.
Did you see that meme I sent you about that the spicy take on AIDS?
Oh,
yeah. It says one person talking about COVID-19, and they're like, if somebody is going to go out and just live their life without taking the proper precautions put forward by the CDC or whatever it is, then death is just that's what they deserve. And then this other person says, well, that's a spicy take on AIDS. It's like, yeah, it's not that cut and dry, is it? It's like, the sound in that woods, those fucking woods, you hear the wind whisper through the trees, and it's just...
couple things like happened. There's a couple features of this film are lots of gay sex, but then there's this one kind of schlubby voyeur guy.
This dude's my favorite part of this whole thing.
This comes into like a little bit of the black comedy bit, because there's comedic relief from this guy.
A little bit.
Yeah. And he's just like, he's schlubby, and it seems like everyone else there is like an Adonis and just like kind of almost perfect bodies. And then you got this schlubby guy. He's like, can I just jack off to you guys? Fucking. And everyone's like, no, go away.
Some people are like, yeah, well, I mean,
like, oh, okay, whatever.
He's just here like everybody else. Like, he's just trying to get off. Who would have him? There's this vibe of like, who would have that guy?
Right.
So just let him jack off to us. Come back when we're fucking, and then you can see us. Right now, we're having a conversation.
Yeah.
Can you be gone while we're having a conversation and come back while we're fucking to jerk off to us? Please? He's like, okay.
And then there's another guy, notably, that asked where all the women are at.
Yeah, what was that?
And the guy was like, it's not that type of place.
That type of place doesn't exist, buddy. You gotta get your world in order.
And he's like, no, yeah, sometimes there's women there. And I just realized now, I wonder if there's some trans women there or something at one point. He's like, hey, man, women are here ready to fuck.
Yeah.
Just occurred to me.
Oh, that would make more sense.
But yeah, it's just funny thinking like a guy like, yeah, maybe there's a chance that there are some women out here grazing in the woods waiting for someone to come up and be like, hey.
Can you imagine what that would be like? terrified.
Well,
it would be like
I would definitely be like the Shelby guy, just jacking off to other people.
Be a stampede of men. Just like, I want to have sex with you. She's like,
So it's kind of a back and forth between, Frank talking to Henry and pursuing Michelle.
So specifically, Henry is this older male, kind of portly, and he just kind of likes to hang out by the beach, and he likes to think and sit, and he's kind of this voice of wisdom.
He sits off in the distance, away from everyone else,
right? And he's kind of like this voice of wisdom, of like, hey, I see things objectively, and I'm not specifically here for sex. Wouldn't that be nice if it happened? But I don't expect that to, like, at all. Frank befriends.
Well, I don't even. He's not there with any expectations of sex. Like, he's not there for sex
he's
at all.
Literally just vacationing and like is hanging and happens to be mildly bisexual as well. Like,
right.
He's been crushed by the world.
Right.
A bit.
Yeah, he mentions that he has had kind of bisexual experiences with his wife, which sounds like they're pretty wild. He was talking about like, oh yeah, we'd go out and fuck like 10 to 12 people. It's like, that's kind of odd that you would be. Maybe that's just the French culture. Maybe that just happens there.
I think it happens here.
But he's almost surprised that Frank is truly gay. Like, oh, you just have sex with men?
Yeah, he's like what the fuck?
That's rare. And then Frank like looks around the beach at all of the gay men that are naked and like walking into the woods. He's like,
no, it's not.
No, not really. So yeah, Frank talks with Michelle at one point. He's definitely pursuing him. He's following him into the lake and like following him out of it and talks, but their conversation is cut short because Michelle's supposed boyfriend comes up and takes him. He's like, hey, are we gonna fuck in the woods or what? Michelle's like annoyed. He's like, I've been here the whole time, man.
I gotta go fuck in the woods. There's a lot of this. Of a dude who's just jacked up on testosterone, horny, who shows up and he's just irritated that he even has to look for the person that he's there to fuck. He's like, what is going on? Why aren't we having sex right now? You fucking bitch. And the other guy's like, I've just been... this happens like 3 or 4 times throughout the movie where some dude shows up and he's like, yeah.
So they go off and fuck in the woods. Oh, in the conversation with Michelle, he mistakenly thinks that Frank is boyfriend with Henry, which he explains he isn't. But that night, or was it the next day?
Doesn't matter.
Eventually it gets to a point where Frank sees Michelle drown this boyfriend of his in the lake. And he sees it from the distance in the woods through the trees. And he just sits and watches it, which is the implication is like, I could tell someone about this, or I could just take advantage of the situation and fuck Michelle. Which is the whole point of the movie, is that dichotomy of like, yes, this is dangerous and this guy is a monster, but I do really, really want to fuck him.
Yeah.
Like, I'm very attracted to him. That's where the dark comedy comes in, because it's an absurd, like, take.
It is not an absurd... That's
the thing. It's not. It's an absurd, like, decision to make, to be like, oh yeah, definitely, we gotta fuck. I gotta fuck that guy. Because
that makes so much sense.
The human thing is like, someone was killed and they need to pay for their crimes. I need to go to the police and tell them what I saw.
But then I won't be able to have sex with them. This is literally the mind of a man.
Right, this is great, because I was telling Erin about this.
She didn't watch it with you?
She didn't watch it with me. I was telling Erin about this, and about this decision of, basically the movie was about, like, I saw this guy murder a guy, but should I have sex with him? And I told her, like, yeah, it makes total sense.
Yeah.
It's
This is obvious.
Of course. Like,
be like, there is an angle here where I get to have sex.
And she thought that was hilarious, that that was a take. It's like, no, but that's where the absurdity of it comes in, where it's like, yeah, that's where the tension builds. And how do you, number one, live with yourself, like, for not turning him in, but also you're in actual real danger, because he could be just a guy killing all these guys that he fucks, which in a weird way can add to the awesomeness of the sex. Right. And the uniqueness of it is, where this differs from other thrillers, I think, is that they're equals, you know, in terms of, like, physical strength and like the danger, you know, between the predator and prey dynamic. Like, they are equals. No. Michel is a specimen. I mean, I see what you're trying to say, which is that they're both males, but Michel is is well established as a good swimmer. Number one. Yeah. Number two, but so is Franck. Franck is a good swimmer. Yeah, but they set it up in the movie, between the conversation between the two of them, where Frank's like, "You're an amazing swimmer," and Michelle's like, "Yeah, you know, I've been swimming a long time, but you're good too." And Frank's like, he has this earnest look on his face, and he's like, "I'm not even remotely." Well, okay. I mean, but not only that. I mean, Michelle has a good 30 to 40 pounds on Frank. Okay. I mean, this is getting nitpicky. Like, the point I'm trying to make is, like, if you're talking about two men, similar age, close to similar physique, at least they're in shape. Yeah. Like, that's a much, much different dynamic than even a fit man and a woman, where the man is the murderer. Like, it's not even comparable. Like, that's why women are afraid of men, because, whoa, hey, this is getting spicy. Where's all the crime committed against women? It's like, it's men doing it because they're stronger and they want to assault them for their own reasons. You're forgetting about women on women crime. So that's like a kind of unique, and the director even said, or the writer-director even said, originally he came up with the idea and was trying to write a script for a straight couple, and which is kind of crazy. You wouldn't know how that would even work, but I'd assume it wouldn't be on a cruising beach where equivalent. It's obvious that he came up with that. Once he got this idea, it made so much more sense. But yeah, he said, like, it works so much better with them being kind of equals. That is where it's unique to me. And that dynamic of being roughly physically equal to the person that's a threat to you, it takes away a lot of that, you know, the danger, but it also adds to, like, the relationship aspect and kind of the interpersonal dynamic of the relationship. Sure. So the detective comes along, starts asking questions, and this is where it gets pretty run-of-the-mill of, like, the detective asking questions and, Frank and Michelle lying and then getting caught in their lies, and the detective coming back and asking more questions, and
I thought it was kind of interesting because they never. Michelle is the only one who really outright lies, and it's only once that I can really truly pick apart, which is not it's all a lot of lies of omission, because everything that Frank says is pretty true. It's he
definitely lied. What are you talking about? He saw the murder and he said he didn't. That's a pretty big lie.
Okay, yeah. So they both do lie in that, Frank saw the murder, but the rest of his story makes sense in that it's all basic truths.
Well,
this is how you.
He told the truth that he was there, but he also lied and said that he was there late into the night fucking when she wasn't.
Right.
The person he was fucking left pretty
true.
early, and then he is caught in that lie, and he says I was fucking another nameless, faceless guy.
This is the perfect scenario for this kind of setup, which is. We're at a gay cruising site. No, right. I don't know anybody's name. I was a little fucking busy.
Yeah.
In the woods, I don't
Yeah, the detective is oh, so you were here in the dark of night and you didn't know the guy's name or even what he looks like. You just fumbled around in the dark and found someone to fuck.
And the response is just him being staring at him for a minute, being yeah.
Are you new here?
Did you heard what you just said, right?
Doesn't that sound fucking awesome?
Look 20 yards to your right. Look 20 yards to your right. There's two dudes fucking right now. They don't know each other's names.
Yeah. So there's that going on, and then Henry is kind of, like you said, the voice of reason, and kind of brings Frank back into reality of he's gonna murder you, right? And it's yeah, but he's got a nice cock. So there's that, and then the ending is basically the culmination. See, this is so hard because it's hard to talk about this movie because there's so much subtlety and so much stuff going on from looks and glances, and stuff where when you have the topic of butt fucking and sucking cock, it kind of overshadows a lot of the subtleness in terms of what we can talk about.
Sure.
But there's a lot of interpersonal, kind of bitchiness and subtlety. And there's a huge theme of it is, Frank really loves Michelle and wants to make this into a more serious thing. And Michelle is not into it. He wants this to be a casual thing. He doesn't even want to go home with the guy or spend the night or even get dinner with him.
Yeah.
He's totally non-committal to the point where I'm wondering, I wonder if Michelle actually has a wife and kids or something. You don't know anything about him, other than he's here and he's here to fuck.
And he's devastatingly gorgeous.
Yeah.
Has a beautiful cock.
And mustache. Man, I'd love to slide my cock.
Yeah, he looks
right underneath that thing.
He looks spot on like two people. You were saying Tom Selleck.
Yeah, Tom Selleck. And
the
director even said he looks like Tom Selleck.
And Tom
Skerritt.
Skerritt, yeah. Tom Skerritt was who I was thinking of.
Yeah.
I was God, he looks a lot like. But now looking at pictures of Tom Selleck.
I mean, anyway, if you're talking about guys with mustaches that are dark haired, you got Tom Selleck, Tom Skerritt, Burt Reynolds. That's
and Charles Bronson.
And sure, Charles Bronson.
I mean, maybe the most iconic one, but
he's a weird looking dude though. Charles Bronson is very unique looking.
Yeah.
Compared to
Selleck, though, this guy looks like the youngest, cuttest version of Selleck.
Yeah,
and I can't think of what role that would be.
Magnum PI.
Oh, is that what it is?
I don't
know. But yeah, devastatingly gorgeous, dude. And same with Frank too. Frank is, I mean,
he's pretty.
Yeah, he's a very pretty person.
Yeah.
And you go, okay, does they have to be the goddamn most gorgeous
Well, that's the thing.
Like with the most supple cock and juicy ass. Do they absolutely have to?
You're not telling lies.
Have the thickest, ropiest loads that you just want to tie yourself. You just want to weave a quilt out of these loads and then just go to sleep in it, you know?
Like, yeah, I mean, it's also kind of a commentary on that aspect of gay culture where, like, yeah, it is very judgmental. Can you imagine?
I was saying this to Carrie because, Carrie fell asleep while we were watching this movie. Before we started, we were watching Borat, and then she fell asleep, which is strangely, wow, actually a lot of dicks.
Yeah, a lot of dicks and ass and Borat,
gay
too.
Stuff. Yeah, asshole.
There's ass eating in Borat, basically.
Yeah. Anyway, so she fell asleep, and then I started this movie, and the next day she's like, "What'd you end up watching?" I was like, "Actual gay porn." Bryce made us. She's like, "Why?" And I was like, "Bryce is making us watch gay porn," and she was like, "Well, that makes sense." But then she was also like, she's like, "What was it like?" And I was like, "I just like." There's this inclination as a dude where you're like, it would be so much more simple if I were gay. You know? That is not true even a little bit. Thinking about all my gay friends and how much hard work and upkeep they do to their bodies and how much they care.
Right.
It is so much more than any straight relationship I've seen. They are so on top of their hygiene and presentation game because what does a dude want? Beauty. Like they just want to fuck a beautiful thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're definitely a large subset. I will say after watching, what's that documentary that you told me to watch with the one kind of squirrely guy?
Give me a little bit more than that.
Well, it's the one where he goes to like the Bears Festival.
Oh, it's not a documentary. It's a show called like Balls Deep or something
Balls
like
Deep,
that.
yeah. And there's one episode. I mean, it's a documentary show.
It's a Vice show.
It's a journalistic show, I guess. Where he goes to this this kind of meeting of just bare gay guys.
Yeah,
and
bears and otters.
There's an element of that in that culture where like there's also areas for acceptance of different body types.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean you know here's what you do. You look at porn and you realize like, oh yeah, guys are into different things. Like yes, of course, like the Venus de Milo like perfect woman is like, yeah, of course we all like that. But also there's guys that love like big girls or like big old droopy tits.
I'm not gonna lie, it's all pretty appealing to me.
Yeah. So I mean, but yeah, this version of like gay culture of like, oh yeah, they're definitely
more picky.
Yeah. In these circumstances. Where you actually kind of feel for like, oh, that poor guy, that's a voyeur.
Frank gives the voyeur a go at his nuts.
Yeah. Yeah, eventually Frank just gives and he's like, all right, you can suck my dick. Which is, doesn't that just concept kind of blow your mind if someone's like offering to suck your dick and you're like, I guess. If there was any woman, regardless of my attraction to them, I'd be like, I feel like I'd be into it. I wouldn't be like...
Emphatically, yes.
It's never happened to me, so, I mean, I wouldn't know.
You'd be like, are you a street woman?
I don't have to pay for this, right?
I watched a documentary. Are you walking the knife?
So, in the end, like, Henry approaches Michelle when Frank is out swimming in the lake, and he's pretty direct with Michelle. He's like, so, you gonna murder this guy? Is that what you're gonna do? And Michelle's like, what are you talking about? Like, they ain't got shit on me. And Henry's like, yeah, well, for now. And he's heavily implying that, like, the detective has...
You're gonna get it.
Information, or is going to get information, or Henry knows something. And this was one of those subtle moments because, like, it's a direct confrontation and threat to Michelle. And then Henry gets up and walks into the woods, notably, and he stops and, like, looks back. And it's one of those similar, like, subtle situations where that's the look of come hither, you know. He's expecting him to follow him. So you've seen it many times with all the gay guys of walking into the woods or walking past each other in the woods and looking at each other, which is basically like, hey, we're gonna do this?
It occurs to me that this might not have been completely set up yet for the listeners. Henry is a pretty depressive guy,
right?
And he's he's kind of lost the will to live necessarily. Like he's just not for this world anymore, and he's not like
right. And also, like I forgot to mention, like he is the counterpoint to Michelle in that Henry declares like kind of this platonic love to Frank to say like, I'm tired of being alone. Like, can't we just like live with each other? Can't we just like be really good friends and like not have sex but sleep in the same bed kind of thing? And so Frank is presented with these two like choices of like, do I keep pursuing this guy that wants nothing to do with
sex
me other
with
than
no
sex?
relationship at all, just sex in the woods, or relationship and no sex at all? And it's like, why does it have to be these two polar opposites? That kind of was a little bit irritating to me in this movie.
Well, I mean, it's set up in terms of like pursuing a relationship, really, because like by pursuing Michelle, he's also neglecting improving his relationship with Henry, because he blows Henry off several times for going out to dinner or going out for a drink. It kind of hurts Henry's feelings.
Yeah, sure.
But it's also like, yeah, you're choosing this dangerous path that's unfulfilling in the long run.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the conversation. And so, yeah, and Henry is pretty depressive. So this look back to Michelle says a lot. And you realize, like, oh, he
wants to die now.
He kind of wants this. And sure enough, Frank comes back to the shore and sees both of them gone, and then goes exploring in the woods. Sees Michelle murder Henry, and tries to save Henry, but...
And weirdly enough, the sound in the woods is the same sound. But this time it's murder.
Horror or porno.
It's just the knife plunging into him.
And Frank like tries to staunch the bleeding, but Henry's like, I'm ready.
This is what I want. This is what I want. I called him out on his murder.
Mm-hmm.
And now I get to die. So then he just to that big place in the sky.
Mm-hmm. And then like Frank is like kind of hiding in the woods, and then sees like, oh, the detective is coming back. Like he approaches, and it's a real like out of the blue moment where Michelle just pops into frame and stabs the detective and kills him immediately.
Yeah.
And so then it turns into like kind of a cat and mouse thing, or a situation where like, oh, now Frank is being hunted by Michelle. And like Michelle is like calling out into the woods and like, hey, yeah, let's, why don't we go to my house tonight? Like, I want to make this work. Like, it's
such a weird cliche in movies. Like, does this have to happen every time? Does the person who's frantically looking to murder the other person always gonna try and put them at ease while everybody knows that you're trying to murder them? Like, hey, we can have a relationship. It's like, okay, what?
Well, I mean, the setup is that Michelle definitely knows he killed someone. And so it is also just as likely that like, oh yeah, he'll still be okay with this. Might not be happy that I'm murdering lots of people now, but you know, there's a quid pro quo. Like, you don't tell people I murdered 3 people, and I'll come home with you and spend the night.
My need to engage in homicidal behavior on a massive scale cannot be corrected, but I have no other way to fulfill my needs.
So, I mean, this last 10 minutes is really what you could even consider horror. And that's it.
Yeah.
Like, even the first murder is at a distance in silhouette.
Yeah, it's
like
all pretty impersonal. And I don't know. This movie is so, like, it's such a one-trick pony, because if it weren't for all the dicks and coming and butt fucking and coming and dicks
and butt fucking,
there's like 4 things that happen, and none of them are anything new or interesting necessarily. It's just the context is new, and that's actually pretty interesting. But
the context makes it new, at least for me. Like, it's a new dynamic that I've never seen before.
I guess it's the only thing that's kind of like mildly intriguing to me is this impressively luxurious lifestyle that these guys get to live day to day, where they just get to go and fuck in the woods all day, every day, apparently. Like, where I'm like, whose life is this?
Well, French people don't actually work.
I'm like,
I think in France they get like 2 months of vacation every year or something like that. Europeans have it pretty good in terms of PTO. I'll give them that.
Will you though? Like, do they all? And at what cost? You know, because that's coming from something. And I don't know. But on the other hand, hey, good for them. You know, like, shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, Henry's a logger.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a logger, and he's out here like...
Is that the most unbelievable part of this movie, that Henry is a logger?
Oh, no. Henry is he is the quintessential logger
really?
Dude. Yeah. Big old beer gut. Yeah, at that point, they're old, you know, so
I would not have expected to see him, like, swinging an axe and lugging around a big old chainsaw.
Well, I've seen plenty of guys.
All right, well, you would know. And then, like, the final shot of the movie is Franck eventually, like, waiting deep dark into the night until, like, he feels like Michel's gone, and then he stands up and calls out for him. And that's, like, the commentary where it's like, oh, yeah, he decided. Like, yeah, but that dick, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I just go, okay, so this is a bare bones thriller, but it's supposed to be more interesting, and is more interesting because it is gay. Mm-hmm. But then I go, well, Butt Boy is so much more interesting than this. You know,
I'm not gonna. Butt Boy is kind of similarly understated.
Oh my god!
In many similar ways, you know?
Like Butt Boy takes this concept of like a thriller, basically of like, but with Butt Boy, it's like a cat and mouse thriller, the whole way through, and takes it and makes it something so weird and perverse and interesting and hilarious, and this is so serious. That I don't know. It's just kind of it's just a movie that is, and but it's made impressive by the amount of dicks.
Yeah,
which feels like if it were okay. Here's the actual criticism. If this same movie were made about straight people, people be like, all right, so it is garnering goodwill from audiences because it is willing to go far deep into showing nudity and sex. And that's cheap. You know, that would be the sentiment. It's cheap. But because it's gay, it's not...
It's refined.
Cheap. Yeah, it's refined. This is like... which is a little presumptuous and weird in my opinion, but.
Well, I do feel like there's a lot of like, if we're talking about simplicity of plot and like the basics of it, like there's a lot of super simple and lower quality thrillers than this one that are featuring heterosexual couples. But
oh yeah, no, you're right.
One last question that I had as I was watching this, and our gay listeners can call and leave us a voicemail and let us know. Like, I just had an epiphany. Like, how often are gay guys coming at the same time when they have sex? Because that's like a real possibility to have that happen like 90% of the time. Like, for a straight couple to come right at the same time, this is like it makes it seem like it's so super prevalent in film, but that is a rarity. Right? Am I wrong?
No, I'm just struck by which version of me cares about answering this question. And it's like the 13-year-old. You know, it's like, this is such a 13-year-old question. Like, that I'm like, I don't care. You know, like, I don't know. Yeah, sure, they come at the same time. You know, like, I'm like, I don't know. Like,
okay. Well,
I'm sorry. It's just, I just go, oh, yeah, they probably do. And I go, who cares? Like, I don't care.
I'm just saying, it seems like it would be nice. All right.
Oh. Yeah, I guess we could, you want to act that one out? We could test it.
What do you mean act? All right, let's move on to taglines.
Here's taglines.
Taglines is a bit where we come up with the alternate taglines for a movie that we just watched.
Bag times.
Okay.
They can be funny, gross, interesting, etc.
I got several. Like this is like prime. Oh, whoops.
Do it. Let's hear your first tagline for.
Okay, Stranger by the Lake.
Nice cock. Perfect.
Was that a wee? Nice cock.
Nice cock.
Okay, my tagline for Stranger by the Lake.
I guess you could say I just want to have a meaningful relationship with someone special.
Stranger by the Lake. Doesn't matter, still came.
Yeah, but it does, though. Oops. Here we go. Stranger by the Lake. What happens when you take the butt plugs out and things get real? I don't know. Do gay guys use butt plugs?
Yeah, I feel like that's a standard thing with dilation, maybe. Like, you gotta prep that area. I don't know. I would assume so. Maybe it's just like, you know what?
That's the real world. By the way, that's the real world tagline. It's just
us talking about.
No. That's my tagline. What happens when you take the butt plugs out and things get real?
Mm-hmm.
Never mind. Real World, the show from MTV. They had an opener.
Oh, okay. I see.
People stop pretending and start getting real.
Wow. Big callback. Timely. Yeah. Stranger by the Lake. Have hot sex and be murdered or have hot sex and live? That's a real dilly of a pickle.
Stranger by the Lake. I couldn't see who murdered who. I had too much cum in my eye.
How many more you got?
One.
Okay, I got two more.
Okay.
Stranger by the Lake. He'll get you coming and going.
Okay.
Yeah,
the cum shot, we kind of breezed over that, but I feel like the cum shot assaulted me in this movie. Like, suddenly there was a giant erect penis in the full frame in the screen. big old honking hog just sitting there, and then ropes of ejaculate come just flying out of it. I was like, like, I was like tired and like kind of in that sleepy, woozy feeling state. And then like this big, aggressive, angry cock comes in like bang, bang, bang. I was like, oh my God, oh no. And then I was awake for another half hour.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it didn't affect me that much because like, yeah, I mean, how much porn have I watched where the culmination in the sex scene is a big old cum shot? It's like,
So then I started.
I'm used to seeing that.
So then I started blasting.
The one that was like more of an assault for me was like when Michelle and Franck were like having sex the second time.
He like crams it in his ass.
Where they're in the
Oh.
woods, and no, he's like, it's the shot of Michelle's hand kind of like putting pressure like in his butthole. That was like, that felt too real for me.
Have you stuck things up your butt?
Come
on,
no,
you know the answer to this question.
Not things, no.
Never?
No.
I stuck things up my butt before.
Really?
Not things. Fingers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've tried that, and it was always like,
Yeah, even with soap, it's just like, ouch.
yeah.
But also...
Well, I think the soap also irritates it. Which is a problem that I had.
Probably. But also, I wasn't, like, comfortable to it. I wasn't, like, ready to go.
Yeah, well, we'll have to talk about
Yeah, we got to get
the
that
stuff
other
in the
show.
afterpods.
Got to get that other show going. My final. Stranger by the Lake. Men. That's it.
Okay, my final one. Stranger by the Lake.
Word around the office is you've got a fat cock.
Yes, I do.
I've got a fat cock, too. Maybe we should rub our fat cocks together sometime. Maybe a little oil. 2 fat cocks. Together. Oil.
It might be visual.
What is that?
It's from one of my favorite viral videos ever. It's called Sexual Harassment in the Workplace.
Oh, okay.
It's like a sexual harassment training video, but it's obviously that it can't possibly be real because it's so ridiculous. Anyways, that's taglines.
Taglines.
All right, let's move on to horror movie whores. Do you have that by any chance? Product warranty. All right, horror movie horrors is where we listen to your voicemails that you've left over the week or more. Here's first caller.
Hey, this is Ryan Flores, the exotic. I called the other day, and I sound like a pompous asshole. Calling myself Brian from Alabama, which, yeah, I'm going to refrain from drinking and calling again. But anyways, love you guys. Thanks for not making fun of me for being a complete ass. But anyways, listen to the Crimes of the Future episode today. I listen to you guys probably 9 to 12 hours a work day because I'm out in the field just working with my AirPods in. You guys are doing a great job. Appreciate you again, and y'all have a good one.
Yeah, thanks, Ron. I don't know if you've heard our other voicemails. Yours,
Yours didn't strike me at all.
Brian from Alabama is pretty tame, to be honest.
Yeah, I think. Well, thanks for calling in.
Yeah.
And also, like, I wouldn't be too worried about it.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. And if you blast through all that content, available on the work week, just know we got afterpods available.
We have
bonus content.
Literally
on Patreon.
hundreds and hundreds of hours of more content on the Patreon.
Hey guys, this is your favorite dinosaur from Finland, Annosaurus.
Oh,
Hello. So this is a very important appreciation message. I have a date in a couple of hours. Oh my God, I haven't been on a date in like over a decade. In like 12 years. I'm so fucking nervous. Oh dear. Anyway, I just wanted to say that to calm my nerves, I had to listen to you guys like a few episodes at least, like just to calm my nerves. So that's how important you are to people. Yeah, that's it for now. So thank you for at least calming me down a little bit. And that's a special encrypted Finnish crow message. Correct.
Message received, Anasaurus. Thank you so much. Anasaurus is definitely in the pantheon of super fans.
Oh, yeah.
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 She sent us licorice and DVDs and
T-shirts.
Oh, she's a great fan.
Yeah, she sent us Creep. We still haven't watched that Creep movie. I can't remember. It was from 2004 or 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been trying to get some T-shirts over to her, but Finnish Customs sent them back with no note. It's just like, no, fuck you. It's expensive to send these shirts, so do know, Anasaurus, that I'm trying, but it is extremely expensive to send things to Finland and then have them return.
That's bizarre.
So I'm sorry about that.
Let's see. Next one. Again, thanks, Anasaurus. Glad that we calm your nerves. Hope you got a good dickin'.
Yeah. Or not, depending on what you desire.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Sam from Indianapolis. I'm listening to your episode on crimes of the future, and I'm kind of in between in agreement with both of you guys. My issues with the movie is just the convoluted plot. The whole idea of Viggo Mortensen's character being this artist, but then it's also revealed he's an undercover agent, but he's also doesn't know what he's investigating or who his other undercover agents are. And then the whole idea of this inner beauty pageant, I really wanted to see that. Like, why even bring that up if there's no, like, payoff to that aspect? And it seemed like a lot of the plot was just made to be confusing, because when you just outright say what the plot is, it's a lot less of a story. Kind of like Bruce Anderson said, it's about a 30-minute movie stretched out over an hour, 47 minutes. And then another thing I wanted to touch on is that review you guys got about the trans jokes. I, for one, find trans jokes to be hilarious. And here's just a couple of my favorites. Here's a really good one.
Hey,
3 trans fellers walk into a bar, and the 4th trans feller ducks. Here's a good one. Why does the trans fireman wear pink suspenders? It's to keep his pants up. And then this is one of my favorite trans jokes. Why did the trans blonde lady get fired from the M&M factory? Because she threw away all the W's. All right, keep up the good work, guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
I feel like he's operating on a different level, on a different wavelength than me, because I didn't get any of those.
You didn't get any of the jokes?
No.
3 trans guys walk into a bar and one of them ducks. The next one ducks. Okay.
Oh, okay. I just don't understand how that's trans.
Well, they're trans people that are... The joke is about the trans people.
Oh, yeah. See, this is what I'm talking about. A different wavelength.
Right.
Yeah.
See, I misunderstood because I thought they were saying the trans jokes weren't funny in that your jokes weren't funny. Like, you being trans and telling jokes wasn't funny.
Me being trans... Oh, yeah, no. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It'd be like the fat guy's joke. The fat guy's jokes aren't funny. You know.
Right. Huh. Well, I feel hurt. And I agree with the review, the bad review that we got. Trans jokes aren't funny, but I do think that review is misguided because we didn't make any trans jokes. So maybe you should fucking get your shit together.
Yeah, well, Sam from Indiana has provided us with some trans jokes, and that reviewer is going to be very offended.
Hey, this is Robert the Farter. I was listening to the Firestarter episode. I think the original is way better, but anyways, I hope you guys not reviewed Psycho yet. You definitely have to do that. Good job. Love you guys. Bye.
Love you, Robert.
Well, I got good news for you. We have reviewed Psycho.
Yeah, Robert. What
and
do you
it's
think about
available on our Patreon.
Yep. Yeah,
it's one of our pretentious reviews.
Every month we do a pretentious review for our Patreons who are $25 and up, and that is these reviews are only available on our Patreon. Other reviews that are on there are like Ghoulies, Ghoulies, Army of the Dead, the Last House on the Left, the original. It's just there's probably
The
Vanishing,
yeah.
which is one of the craziest French movies. And then tons probably
there's some good episodes on there. The episodes are slightly different format, but if you're looking for more reviews, that stuff is out there. Okay, last call.
Hey, boys. Fuck, marry, kill. Jennifer Tilly from Bride of Chucky.
Yeah.
Elvira. Or Darcy the Mail Girl from Joe Bob's Last Drive-In. Oh, and by the way, this is CJ.
Hey, CJ. Beast from the
Darcy
East.
the Mail
Beast
Girl.
from the Northeast.
I'm not familiar.
Yeah, you don't... Well, he just picked three of the bustiest, brunettiest girls you can
goddamn.
possibly imagine. Yeah, can you make that bigger, please? Whew. Hell yeah. Ooh, yeah, Darcy's great. Oh, boy. Jennifer Tilly is... I don't know. I love her, so I'm going to say fuck Jennifer, marry Darcy, kill Elvira. That's what I'm going to say. Those big fakers do nothing for me. What do you think, Bryce? Okay, can you chill out? Bryce has just lost himself in Darcy photos.
Are we talking about Jennifer Tilly now or like 90s Jennifer Tilly?
So yeah, 90s. 90s.
90s. Yeah, I think I would fuck Darcy, marry Jennifer Tilly, and kill Elvira.
Wow. It is hay fever season.
Yeah, so thank you for those calls. Keep calling. The number that you can call is 682-253-4468. Yeah, this is kind of an interesting episode. Go see A Stranger by the Lake, and if you watched it before knowing anything about it or listening to the review, just know that I'm very amused by that, and that gives me delight. So check out our website at horrormovietalk.com. If you're going to buy anything on Amazon, go there and click through the link in the banner. And please, if you're a listener on Apple products, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. That really does help us out, get found and increase our ranking in the charts. So please do that if you haven't. And until next time, we'll see you.
Bye. We love you.
Bye.
In a plutonic way.
Hello and welcome to Horror Movie Talk.
An opinionated and accidentally funny horror movie review show. Go, 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 go.
Just took a stroll through the scraggly woods.
He had no face!
Horror!
Sabrina, don't just stare at it, eat it.
New theatrical releases always get priority.
but we also review older horror movies, both good and horrible.
Wow, that didn't sound good.
This episode was brought to you by paganism, the religion that lets you worship your dick. Paganism, the religion that worships your dick.